This is Chuck Schaefer of HCM TV, and I am joined by Jim Obsitnik of Oracle Taleo. Thank you for joining me
Sure,
today.
my pleasure.
Where do you think we are in terms of talent management crossing a chasm to mainstream adoption?
That's a very good question. So I think we've seen, in some ways, I feel like the first phase of talent management, we've already crossed that chasm.
Okay.
And to me, that first phase was around process automation. And because it was companies were moving from paper-based manual processes now moving to an automated process. And the high-level business value was just make human resources more efficient.
Right.
And in addition, cut down on the mistakes, the human errors that then lead to compliance issues. But again, it was all predicated on process automation. Now the next phase in the evolution that we're seeing is this idea of engaging more people in that talent management process. Making it so talent management does not feel like something separate that I go do a separate performance review here, or even hiring people is something that I just do on the side. Now it's becoming part of the fabric of our daily life and our daily work life, where whether I'm an employee, a manager, it's something that I just constantly think about in terms of how do I improve my own team and their abilities. Well, I can do that through ongoing performance reviews or evaluations or feedback, as well as delivering learning in a seamless way so that when they do have some downtime, they can immediately go into a course that might help them in their development. So we're trying to weave in talent management into the everyday normal life. And that's both in terms of the applications we provide, where some of that is through the process automation, but other ways is through enabling it through social networks that exist inside of an organization, on mobile devices, so that as people have some downtime, they now know they can go and do something quickly to help them in their development.
Let me see if I can segue your comment on employee engagement and ask, how is Oracle Taleo taking advantage of social media and collaboration tools?
So yeah, we've been doing this for quite some time, and it definitely initially started in the recruiting area, where we were very focused on how do we get more of that social recruiting that takes place, the natural use of Facebook and LinkedIn that's used in sourcing, because our customers are looking for the best source of candidates out there, and knowing that there's no one perfect source of candidates. So you really have to spread out, get that word out as much as possible, to get the viral nature of, hey, I'm looking for this type of role, so let's reach out to the network to get that spread out so I can bring back the best candidates for my position. And then also in terms of in our applications, especially in the performance application and our learning management system, is just having some of those native social capabilities that people can collaborate on, whether it's around performance reviews or just informal feedback throughout the year that can then be captured in someone's talent profile, or whether it's learning management, where there's both the formal side of online web-based courses or classroom-based courses, but there's also that informal discussion that takes place in online forums and discussion groups. And so we provide capabilities to enable that and capture that behavior, that activity, so that we are developing larger and larger communities inside of our customers so that they can do that exchange of information, which is really the fundamental premise of the social movement.
Very good. Jim, what advice would you offer the business leader that's about to go into a human capital management application selection project?
I'd say first is be sure to, of course, know your business and know what the business results that you're trying to drive at. And see how those business results can tie what the activities that you take in human capital management, how they can link to how your business is being measured, whether that's by your investors out there in the open market, if you're a private company, your venture investors, or the board of directors. Everyone has certain measurements as to how your company success is being based on. And so being able to link that to your talent management activities is going to be paramount, so that you know that when I do this, I expect a certain business result. And then I'd say make sure to look across the spectrum, get a sense for how you want talent management to work over the long haul, right? Take a much longer term perspective so that you can see this interconnectivity between not only what you do in recruiting, but also how that impacts onboarding and how that impacts when an employee comes on board and the type of employee development activities. All of those are linked together, and that's what we see is that more and more of our customers are asking for this interweaving of business process in the talent management area, because they know that we're just connecting the dots here, that a person in the outside of the company comes in and there's a certain expectation about that person, and then you have to keep developing that person over and over to really gain the maximum value and for them to develop as well. So if you take that longer term view, but then when you get down to the point of actually doing something, making sure that you are biting off just enough, that you're not taking on too much to make it a long project, because there are some very short-term benefits that can be realized in a very rapid period of time. And so if you do that, take that, have a longer-term roadmap, and then break that down into some very specific steps, then you'll be able to get value along the way as you're building towards a much broader vision for how you believe that your talent can be leveraged.
You know, you've brought up some interesting points for deployment as well. We all know that deploying all business application technologies involves risk. What are the common risks when deploying talent management? How do you recommend business leaders mitigate those risks?
One thing that we have mitigated completely is just through our software as a service model. We've mitigated the investment into hardware, software, IT, and even the people needed to manage and run and constantly upgrade those applications. So we've mitigated that risk through our software as a service model, where we assume that risk, and that's part of the service that we deliver. In the mid-market area, that's where I spend a lot of my time. A number of our customers, about 60 to 70% of them, actually self-implement our solution. So they feel that they have enough of that experience and know what they're doing and are comfortable with how to utilize our solution and configure it to get at the desired business result. And then lastly, and this really is up to the customers, is change management. How do you make sure that you are effectively bringing in that application and the associated process around it into your organization, training people effectively, making sure they know how to use the application so that you drive as much value from it, all your employees get value from it, and then hence you're driving greater adoption.
For my last question, if we look into the future, just a few years, how do you suspect talent management software is going to change or evolve?
What we are seeing is this greater push towards mass adoption inside of an organization. Because it's that everyday application that people use that we get value out of. Social technology and how that weaves in, as well as how talent management is placed inside of existing social networks. So again, we're trying to go to where the users are, not have the users come to our application. How do we place the capabilities in their hands at the point of need? And that's either in social networks, because we're definitely starting to see more and more companies building out their own social networks, as well as through mobile devices and trying to engage that behavior there. So you'll see that dynamic. I think what we'll also see over the next few years is a continued focus on how the different parts of talent management weave together, so that it really becomes less and less about these individual recruiting, performance management, learning, but becomes there's more role-driven business processes. Again, how are you making it more easy? How are you making it easier for someone to utilize these applications for their own personal business benefit?
Well, thank you for that. And with that, I think we're at a good break point to conclude our conversation. This is Chuck Schaefer. I've been joined by Jim Opsitnik, GVP and General Manager of Oracle Taleo. Jim, thank you very much for joining me.
Great, thanks, Chuck.